What's up, everybody? It's been a while. Life has been pretty busy for me lately, so I had to reprioritize some things, but we're back better than ever.
There you go.
Here with a very special guest, Diamond Garcia. He's a member of the House of Reps up here on Oahu, and yeah, I'll let him talk more a little bit about what he does and who he is, and yeah, thanks for joining us.
Awesome, Rob. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you so much. Beautiful farm, beautiful place. I'm Diamond Garcia. I have the honor of representing the good people of District 42.
Yeah.
That's Kapolei, Ho'opili, Ewa Villages area out in West Oahu since 2022. So we won in 2022, and since then been in the House of Representatives. I also serve as the minority floor leader, so the leader of the Republicans when we're on the House floor. And it's been a pretty good 2 years of pushing back, fighting for our values. We look forward to more years to come.
Yeah, solid. I definitely have been seeing you out and active in your community, and I feel like we need more leaders like that. And I feel like you're a good inspiration for the younger generation to see like somebody from our like peers actually doing it, you know what I mean? So yeah, thanks for stepping up, bro.
Thank you.
So just the first question I like to ask everybody, just to get like a better idea of where they're from and the environment that raised them, is where are you from and how was it for you growing up?
Yep, so from West Oahu, born and raised. Spent part of my childhood in the Waipahu area, public housing, and then on the Waianae coast in Makaha. And so I was raised in public housing programs on food stamps and welfare, the normal life for us out there. And it was just housing life, I was hanging out with housing friends, getting into mischievous activity, going to school here and there. But yeah, that was life out there. And then my grandma was a big part of my life growing up too. Her influence of trying to bring me to the libraries after school and stuff, and kind of instill the importance of education, of knowledge, of reading. And so I'm thankful for that. But yeah, that kind of helped shape my life to where I am today. I looked around me in public housing and saw hurt. Saw people who were dependent, not just on their addictions, on drugs or whatever, but it was on, like, they were dependent on government. And they didn't want to work, because if they work, their rent goes up, they lose their food stamps, they lose their everything. So there was no incentive to get ahead. It was just stay in this position, have more kids, get more benefits, and you're stuck in that government system. And so I was just like, local families we deserve better here in Hawaii. And so, but that was my growing up in West Oahu.
So when you say West Oahu, is that like Makaha side or like? So
Makaha, so during high school it was Makaha. Before that it was Waipahu, and then after Makaha, Manakuli.
Oh, pretty much all over.
All over, yeah.
Okay. What schools did you go to from elementary going up to graduation and after?
So during elementary, went to Waikele Elementary, and back then and this was the early 2000s. It was a brand new school back then.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was like the 3rd or 4th class in there. Now it's an older school, but so Waikele for elementary, Waipahu Inter, and then for high school I went to a Hawaiian Mission Academy in town.
Oh, okay, solid. That's cool. How was your high school journey like that?
Good. Yeah, so back then I was I would catch the bus at like 4:30 in the morning from Makaha, and then head to town, because I had a job at like 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. in the morning before school started at the bakery at school, and that was to pay my tuition, because I didn't have no money, right? Our family didn't have nothing. And so thanks to the sponsorship of church members and some family and some friends, and then of course me working, that's how we made it through.
Oh, solid. So you kind of already knew from a young age, like anything you want, you're gonna have to earn.
You gotta work for it. And it's actually a good thing, because in high school I had some side cash, because I worked a few jobs, and that was a good thing. Unlike my friends who the parents paid for everything, paid for their tuition, their senior trips, their everything.
I was working at 15, bro. Kahalu McDonald's. I remember having to go like apply for the workers permit, and bro, my starting pay was $7.35 an hour.
Wow. Wow.
That's nuts.
5, yeah.
And like, but like, I feel like my checks back then, I could like do stuff. Like, it would last, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really have like bills or anything,
Right.
but still, funny. You can like, I trip on how like we can firsthand see inflation like in our life.
Legit. It is real.
Yeah, like it's nuts.
And you have government telling you, well, it's actually on the down right now. It's not really. I mean, you just ask the average local family, how is it feeling right now? I mean, the price of food since Biden became president has almost tripled.
Yeah.
So people are really struggling.
Yeah, definitely is kind of getting nuts now.
Yeah.
So how have your life experiences, you kind of talked a little bit about it, but was there like any, I guess, specific example in your life where it kind of shaped your political values?
Yeah, so growing up, like I said, my grandma was a big influence, and so one thing that she would instill in me was faith. And so she would take me to church on weekends, on Saturdays, and we'd go to church. And just being in that environment, I guess I was surrounded by older people, listening to their stories, their testimonies, which is actually a cool thing. Cause
this like they're mo'olelos.
They're mo'olelos, and there was so much of that, and they came from all over the world. So just get to hear different cultures, the history of living. You know, there's this one lady at church. She was elderly. She was the piano player. And so she died at like 97, I think, or so. But yeah, she would tell me stories of like marching with Dr. Martin Luther King back in Alabama in those days, and you know, just living through those type of historical events is pretty cool. And then hearing the stories of kupuna here in Hawaii who were told when they were young, speaking Olelo Hawaii, they would get punished for it, get spanked for it in schools.
On the fingers, my papa said he used to catch cracks. Right.
And so all that kind of helped shape my stances on various issues. What I saw was in public housing, my family and friends who were on assistance, who were all supporting Democrats back then. And because we were told Democrats help the poor people, the Republicans are for their rich businesses. That's what I was told.
That's what I thought growing up.
Right. So we were all brainwashed here in Hawaii thinking this. And I believed it until during high school, I was like, for homework, had to analyze party platform and was like looking at, okay, so what do the Democrats believe in? What do the Republicans believe in? And what do I believe in? And I realized I don't believe in the majority of the Democrat platform. I just don't. And then looking at the results in Hawaii, 70 years of one-party rule, and look at the Hawaiian people. We're being pushed out. We can't afford to live here. And those who are coming in are outsiders, mainlanders, Asian investors. Who are not even from this island, and those who are born and raised here are forced to leave economically. And so I thought, hey, it's time to rise up, go against the system. We've had one party that's completely dominated Hawaii politics for 75 years. And the results are horrible. We have the highest cost of living nationwide. And that's not fair to us locals. I mean, Hawaii is a tourist destination, and that's cool. But if the locals are being pushed out, something's wrong. Something is majorly wrong. And so what we need is local people who are going to rise up and run for office in Hawaii. I think for a long time, Hawaiians have been told, no need vote. It doesn't matter. Don't vote. Those guys don't care about us anyway. And I think,
that's their system.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're not of that American system or whatever. But it was Queen Liliuokalani who basically told her Kanaka people after the overthrow to never forget to vote, because this is the only thing we have to preserve our culture, our heritage, our language, our way of life. And the Democratic Party has intentionally left civics out of schools to basically keep people in a dark mindset of not knowing what government does, what's the role of government, how do I bring about change in my local community. People don't know what their council member does.
People don't know the 3 branches of government.
Exactly. And that's like basic. And like 100 years ago in America, they would teach this stuff in like 2nd grade.
Like people were supposed to know it.
Basics. Unfortunately, here in Hawaii, the Democratic Party has kept people in a state of dependency to where they're dependent on government for survival.
No, most definitely. I feel like I kind of had like a, I guess, not really an awakening, but I definitely seen things from a different lens when I started like actually going to work and seeing how much I'm getting taxed, and seeing how much taxes we gotta pay on money that we're already taxed. Like what?
Right. No, exactly.
It's crazy, bro. It's not, and it's like what?
And it's one thing to pay taxes, but we have the best beaches, the best roads, the best school systems.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Yeah.
We have the exact opposite. We have the worst roads in the country by statistics. We have the worst schools in the country, probably. It's and we pay high taxes.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
On top of like safety checks, like what is that? Like
we pushed a bill this session to abolish safety checks in Hawaii, but unfortunately the Department of Transportation didn't go for it.
I guess that extra $20 from everybody like matters, huh?
I guess so.
So like, was there like a certain like, did you always know you were like gonna go into politics, or you kind of just felt the need to step up? And it's just like, if not me, then who, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
No. So the answer is no. So when I graduated from high school in 2015, I was engaged in full-time ministry, actually. So
okay.
I went, was doing some teaching at some Bible colleges on the West Coast, on the East Coast, was basically just traveling the world and speaking engagements and training missionaries here and there, South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, the islands. And in 2018, it was 3 years after, I was flying back from New Zealand, and I got a call from the local Hawaii GOP and said, "Hey Diamond, we heard your story, of how you not left, but how you basically are where you are today from your family of housing and having nothing. So can you come and share that story at the convention?" I said, "Sure."
oh, mean.
Yeah. So I went there and shared, and it was after that speech, a bunch of people came up to me and said, "Diamond, you should run for office." I said, "I appreciate it, but no thank you." Like, that's just not my thing. Because what am I going to do in politics? I mean, politics is a nasty sport. People attack you personally. They make up lies about you. They'll slander you. Some parties use the justice system against their opponents. I mean, look at Trump right now.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go through that. But I was convicted. I mean, you have a duty, you have a responsibility as an American, as a Kikio to rise up and stand for what you believed in. So what prompted me to run for office was looking around in my community and realizing that those who are in office, those who are supposedly representing my voice and my family, they don't stand for my values. Yeah. They don't stand for what I believe in, and they're going in the opposite direction. And most politicians here in Hawaii, even right now, are yes men. They will do whatever their party leadership tells them to do. Yeah. I've had politicians tell me on the House floor, "Diamond, I agree with you on this, but I can't vote no with you because of my party leadership." And to me, that's just sad. It's so
like,
sad.
Why are you here?
Exactly. Why are you in office?
Literally.
To serve your party leadership?
To be a sheep.
Or to represent your people who are struggling right now in Hawaii? And how can you look yourself in the mirror and know you're voting against something or for something that will hurt local families?
Yeah.
I just cannot. And so what we need is men and women who believe in what they believe in and run for office and represent those values.
Yeah.
Because enough of the sheep in office.
I feel like a lot of the times when like the local politician gets there, they like forget that they're supposed to represent their constituents' like beliefs, not their own.
Well, it comes to power, right?
Yeah.
So people are drawn to power. They're drawn to more power. So once you get in there, people see, okay, so who has power in the House? The Speaker of the House, the chairs of the various committees, and lots of politicians, they strive to be accepted by their colleagues and get appointments as chair of this committee and vice chair of this committee.
Yeah.
And that's what matters to them. And they will forfeit the actual representation of their community, the integrity, and the reason why you were elected.
Literally.
And just go for power and position.
Yeah, that's so nuts. What do you think is like one of the largest issues like in Hawaii politics today? Like, how do you think that we can help that issue?
Well, the biggest issue right now is the lack of voter engagement in Hawaii. So people call Hawaii a blue state, right? So on national TV, they announce that Joe Biden wins Hawaii before the polls even close here, because we assume Hawaii is a very democratic blue state. I don't believe it is. I truly don't believe it is. The problem with Hawaii and the biggest issue we're facing as locals is the lack of locals voting. So we have a small minority of people who are voting, and they're deciding what happens in Hawaii. And yeah, they're liberals, they're Democrats, they're voting for folks like Josh Green, who is not even born here, and Sylvia Luke, same thing, you know.
That's my biggest is what would somebody not from here know what is best for Hawaii? Please make it make sense. I feel like most of the time we always don't give local people or natives enough credit. We think we got to go outsource leader positions, and it's like, bruh, no, we do not. Look at the kind of leaders we have today. You, Brenton, you guys are holding it down.
Trying to, but we need more people in that building with us to fight. It truly is a fight. It's a fight, and we need people who's not afraid to speak up. You know, it's interesting. The word for war in Greek is the word polemos, which is where we derive the English word politics from. It's actually a war. It's a war of words, a war of ideologies. And so what we need is warriors who rise up cause to come inside and fight for our values in Hawaii. It's a battle. So yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of heavy once you start thinking about it like that. It's crazy, like you said, the minority handful of people, what demographic,
who's voting?
Literally.
It's mostly the people who come here who are educated, Asians, those who are educated, and they're gonna vote Democrat because they're used to the 1960s and 70s, and this all goes back to the plantation era too, right? So before the 1954 revolution that took place in Hawaii with Danny Noy and all those guys, the Republicans controlled everything in Hawaii. The Big Five was Republican. Castle and Cook and all those guys was Republican plantation owners, and it wasn't good. And I'm a firm believer, even till this day, having a one-party system is not good. You have to have multiple ideas being debated. A two-party system is what we need. And so the Democrats took over in 1954, and they've had a complete control since then. And what we need is to restore a two-party system.
I feel like, just that whole party system is it's so polarizing, because it's why can't you just look past what you guys disagree on and look what you guys agree on?
And then pass stuff and get things done.
Literally, it's bro, get over the choosing sides.
It's almost like high school in that building. It's no, for real. It's who's more popular than who. If so and so offended me, kill their bills.
Bruh, straight up.
It's like high school, and or maybe middle school actually. More
and it's
immature.
it's coming at the expense of us, bro, and it's kind of ridiculous. Get over your guys' selves. Come on, though. You guys are adults. Do your job.
We need locals in that building. I mean, there's so many people who are in office who are not even from Hawaii. But that's because us locals haven't been voting. We haven't been engaging in the system. And my biggest appeal to the local people of Hawaii who are, at this point, they're this close to packing up and leaving, is get involved and register your entire family to vote, and vote red. Vote red, because we've been voting blue all these years and it hasn't been working. Just vote differently and vote against the current person who's in your rep seat or senator seat.
See if stuff changes.
See if stuff changes.
Yeah, that's nuts. So on the House of Reps side, what do you think do you think there's different issues on that side versus the Senate, or do you think it's pretty much the same kind of?
Well, the issues are pretty much the same, but I think the approach to addressing the issues are different. So you have disagreements between the House and the Senate on various bills, and that's why there's the bills go to conference committee, because there are major disagreements that have to be worked out. And sometimes bills just die in conference because they can't agree, and sometimes they'll compromise and pass a bill, but the issues are pretty much the same. It's just how we approach the issues that are different.
Nuts. So what do you think your previous, I guess, experiences or travels or what you've learned, how do you think that has helped you in your role in politics?
Well, I'm blessed to have traveled the world over.
Yeah.
Prior to politics, I was engaged in church and the ministry and stuff, and that brought me around the world. And so I think seeing other cultures, seeing other places, knowing that this world it's huge.
And we live in a bubble.
Yeah. And quite honestly, I'm so blessed to have been born and raised here in Hawaii.
I think that same thing every single day.
No matter where I go, coming home is I'm just so thankful, because we are like the most protected piece of land, chain of lands in the world. We're in the middle of the ocean and there's no huge continent next to us.
Yeah.
And there's no even islands that's close by to us. It's just us.
Yeah.
And so we're so blessed, and it's so important that we preserve Hawaii for local families.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for sure, traveling the world has taught me how to adapt to other cultures, how to adapt to other people. But it also reinstated in me the importance of preserving Hawaiian culture. Because you go to Australia, you go to New Zealand, you go to Samoa, you go to wherever, they preserve their culture.
Yeah, they speak their language.
They speak their language, they do their protocols in government.
Yeah.
They still preserve their culture in Samoa. You have to be like from there to even own land, right? And so to me, that's what we should be doing here at Hawaii, is preserving this culture. And with culture comes language.
Yeah.
You will not have a preservance of culture without the language.
Yeah.
And
you lose the worldview once you lose the language.
We have to restore Hawaiian language as a commonly spoken language here in Hawaii again.
Yeah, and like comprehend it, and don't just speak it. Like understand how beautifully poetic it is.
Oh yes, no, it's awesome. It's awesome, and every language is different. You can't really interpret Hawaiian exactly the same into English. Because it's different.
Yeah, there's no equal.
There is no equal.
Yeah.
And so, what's interesting is, during the time of King Kalakaua and Queen Liliuokalani, most citizens in Hawaii would fluently speak both English and Olelo.
Yeah.
It was common.
Yeah.
To do both languages.
Even when like foreigners came, they learned Olelo.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So heavy.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me feel bad because I'm struggling, bro, like trying to learn it, especially like with how English, I think.
Right.
I'm like stuck just trying to translate in my head, and I'm just like, bro, I gotta stop thinking English, just think Hawaiian.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
No, it is because we're born and raised English.
Yeah.
We're used to watching American TV shows and movies and everything.
But at least Pidgin is kind of like Olelo sentence structure.
Yes, Pidgin is the kind of combination of all the plantation people came together, right?
Yeah. Like we gotta figure out a way to communicate, guys.
Yep.
Classic. So do you feel like any extra added pressure, like since you're like one of the youngest in that building?
I think there's a sense from the older guys of they're young, they're ambitious, but they'll realize soon enough that they have to toe the line. But for me, it's like, get used to this opposition, because we're getting stronger.
Yeah.
We're gonna run more people and come in here and completely dismantle the machine.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
Yeah. That's so nuts.
Yeah. No.
We'll lead a system, huh?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
I feel like going back to us being in a bubble, but like I'm all for like Hawaiian sovereignty and like understanding what happened to the kingdom was real heavy. But like honestly, the first time I went to Mexico, bro, earlier this year, and that was the first time in my life I ever was like grateful to feel American.
Yeah.
Cause I was just like, holy, like, dang, this is like what the rest of the world is like. But I seen like pregnant kids running on the road, like trying to sell candy to tourists, that they literally like, the candy is in sale for the store, and the kids are trying to like flip it right outside the store they bought it from, and I'm just like, oh, like. That's nuts.
Tough life.
Tough, bro. And like on the Mexican side, trying to get into America, bro, you'd think there'd be like the load of Mexicans, but it was all like Europeans and freaking Asians.
Yeah,
and
Chinese,
I was like tripping. I was like, oh my god, like what?
It's so dangerous.
Bro, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the, like we're chilling. Like people here think we're oppressed.
Exactly.
Bruh.
Exactly.
You have no idea.
All these woke kids in the universities with their blue hair and stuff think they, oh, we're oppressed people. But grow up. You live in the most blessed country on earth. Yeah, there's issues. Yeah, there's problems. No country's perfect, but compared to other countries in the world,
Bro.
our Constitution guarantees us the right to free speech, the right to worship whatever God you want.
Whatever we have free thought, like
Exactly.
free conscious. Like,
Exactly. And there's so many people, millions, who don't have that around the world.
yeah, I never really like realized that, bro, until I like left, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody needs to like go.
I agree.
Yeah.
And go see other countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause like, yeah, everything was cheaper there, but I'm good.
Yep.
It's so nuts. So, do you think your age kind of influences your political approach? Like, do you kind of like want to stick it to the older guys?
No, I think my age. So I was born in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So the Democratic Party has had a foothold since the 50s, right? So you have like 50 solid years of rule. When I was born, late 90s, by the way, I was born during Monica Lewinsky time.
No.
The scandal. But anyway, I think being raised in that generation, growing up, party politics wasn't really a big thing. And most people our age, they don't really care Democrat, Republican. It's more like, what you gonna do for us locals here in Hawaii? Versus the older generation are very partisan.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents, I'm a Democrat.
My dad too.
I'm a Democrat no matter what. And it's like, I was born Democrat, I'm a die Democrat.
Yeah.
They don't realize that the Democratic Party of the 1960s is completely different today.
That's what I try to say. I'm like, Dad, you think you're a Democrat.
Right.
And bro, it's so funny. The last time he was up here for my graduation, bro, he's like talking to me. He's like, bro, son, we're never gonna be okay politically. And I'm just like, why does that even? I love you. You're my dad, bro. Like, what? Stop even. Like, you sound so ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I mean, like most locals, they think they're Democrats, but when you ask them their stance and beliefs on issues, you realize we're more conservative than people think we are.
I just like the good ideas from both parties, bro. Like, take that stuff and run with it. Because all this fighting over like what team you're on is so like, what?
Well, yeah, and at this point it comes down to common sense and woke craziness.
Literally.
Because in the old days, you had common sense in both parties. You had people in both parties who had common sense, who could agree on issues and work together and get things done. Today, one party is so extreme and the other is so extreme. It is dividing this country.
Super polarizing. It's not what made me really like question it was Tulsi Gabbard's switch, bro.
Oh, for real? It was Tulsi.
Yeah, she used to be like so democratic and like honestly, like any local politician, I'll freaking, I'll like look into and ride with if I like you. And I met her at Bellator. She's super cool. But yeah, her transition to Republican, I was just like, I need to look into that. Why is she doing that?
That is awesome.
And then I totally can see like why
she's exposing.
Yeah, like, super.
I just finished read her new book that came out, and it details her entire journey of leaving. But I mean, even Tulsi, she was raised here in Hawaii. It's a blue state. You go Democrat because it's easier to win in Hawaii. Yeah, because everyone's a Democrat. And like for me too, like it would have been so much easier to run Democrat. I probably would have won a lot sooner if I did. But I gotta look myself in the mirror. Yeah. Like, I have a conscience. And so like Tulsi, same thing. She was vice chair of the party nationally. Like she was the vice chair of the whole country.
She was running like for president.
She ran for president in 2020. Democrat, but what I love about Tulsi is she was raised by great parents, Mike Gabbard and her mom, Carol. Awesome people who instilled values in her, and she, she's a free thinker. She doesn't go with the crowd or with what the majority says to do. She's a free thinker, and that's what we need today is people who are independent thinkers, who's not going to be swayed by what they see on social media, swayed by a TikTok video. They're going to have to look into things themselves, investigate, research, read, and make the right decisions. And I think Tulsi, she epitomizes a free thinker,
Yeah.
and what that looks like. And I agree with her. If you have common sense, if you are a true patriot today, there is no place in the Democrat Party for you.
It was nuts how people try to like give her flack, but it's like she literally served in the military.
That's
like,
right.
bruh, she has more cojones than half of all you politicians.
Combat veteran.
Literally, like you can't tell her anything.
And you have people like Hillary Clinton who calls her a Russian asset.
Bruh.
Yeah.
And it's like those people think your guys' children's lives are expendable.
That's right. They're warmongers.
Literally warmongers. And it's so irritating how like once you realize they all have like shares and stuff in all the government contracted
they make money
military.
off of war.
Yeah, it's like
big money.
Okay, that's why we're always in conflict.
Right.
It's you guys getting rich.
Yep.
It's so disgusting, bro.
Yeah.
So what, like you're the chairman of Hawaii's Republican Party?
I was.
You was?
I was last year, the state chair resigned. That was Lynn Finnegan. Awesome person. She had some family things to tend to. Her parents were getting older. So I stepped in, and then Senator Brenton Awad jumped in as my vice chair. So me and Brenton were leading the party for almost, I think it was like from January till the next convention we were in office, and we tried very hard to rebrand the party as the party of Prince Kuhio.
Yeah.
Because people see the Republicans as this national white party.
Yeah.
But you guys got to realize Prince Kuhio was a Republican, and we want to brand that here in Hawaii as we're the party of local people. Yeah. Look at who's leading the Democratic Party. Josh Green, mainlander. Sylvia Luke, born elsewhere. Abercrombie, born in the mainland. David E. Gay. I mean, is that really local people?
Literally, like who do they represent
and
here?
You look at our party, we had Duke Iona running for governor, Andrew Tupola running for governor. We have Augie T, Brenton. I mean, this is like local people who gave up their careers to serve local families.
And they lived like their whole life here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Born and raised, and families have been here for generations.
Literally, yeah. That's the main one too.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand your dad moved here and you're born here, but like, what? So like, what was that experience like? Do you feel like there's extra pressure when you have extra titles, next to your name?
Yeah, I mean, well, I feel humbled first and foremost to have been elected. And whenever I get mail in the office, they always put the Honorable Diamond Garcia, because that's like how you address elected officials. Look at that. I mean, I think that gets to people's heads once they're elected. Oh, I'm like the honorable. But that's a problem with politicians, is they think they're above the people.
Yeah.
They think we're this high maka class. We're the elite. We're the elite and they're the maka ainana. No. In this American system that we're living in this constitutional republic that we live in, the people were the boss. Yeah. The people's the boss. The elected officials work for the people. And so people have to realize this. They're not more powerful than you. They work for you. You tell them what to do. Yeah. If you're not happy with what's going on here in Hawaii, march down to their office at the Capitol, because it's your office actually, and tell them what you expect them to do, because they work for you. This last session, for example, there was the bill HB 2079 on gender affirming care for minors, for kids. That got lots of controversy, lots of traction on social media. But what that did was it sparked citizens to realize, wait a minute, I don't agree with this crap. Yeah. So what did they do? They made phone calls. They called the Capitol. They showed up in person. They sent emails, and the bill died. So when people engage and take back their government, we can actually change things in Hawaii. There's proof of that this past year. We've killed lots of bad bills because of social media pressure. Yeah. The Democrat establishment here in Hawaii was never used to this much social media pressure. Yeah. Because for years, the fake news media would tout their agenda. Yep. Hawaii News Now, KHON, KTV, they won't cover us. Yeah. They're going to cover their story. They might get us a quote in there here and there, but they'll twist it. Now it's social media, folks like you guys and other podcasts, and even our social media, Brenton, bro, we can go right to social media, get our message right to the people instantly, and people are on board. They're on board, and I tell you what, we're changing Hawaii. It's starting to change. Yeah,
I feel like in this day and age too, with like how transparent Brenton is, they hate that.
Oh, bro. they cannot stand it.
Yeah.
They cannot. In fact, you know, like there were some elected officials this past session who was like, are you really behind Hawaii News Report? Because now they're just attacking all the Democrats, thinking that me and Brenton were somehow trying to work through them to attack others. It's like, no, this is now finally people realizing the BS they've been served all these years. And they're waking up.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
They're waking up.
And they're scared.
Because their power is at stake.
Yeah.
But my message is this: get ready and pack your bags, because we're coming in and locals will take back Hawaii.
Yeah, I like how even though you're a politician, you friggin' side yourself with the people. Like, you're literally like speaking as if you're like part of the people still.
That's what the House of Representatives, Hale Oluna o Maka'ainana, it is the House of the people. Yeah. So I was elected by the people in my district to be the people's voice in that building. Yeah. That's what politicians have to start doing, is be the people's voice and stop trying to tout your boss's wishes. Like, represent your people.
Yeah. So how do you think you have evolved personally and professionally since stepping into the realm of politics?
Well, I've definitely learned how to navigate the system a lot better. I have a lot to learn still. Yeah. I'm only 26. I turned 27 this year. I have a lot to learn, and I understand that. But these last 2 years, I've learned a lot. Experiences, talking with people, seeing how things work, seeing the backroom dealings in that building, seeing the corruption in that building, seeing the lies, the deceit. All that has taught me, you know, how to navigate, how to speak out, when to speak out, what battles do I fight right now, and what battles do I hold off and wait maybe till next year or next session. Because it's, you know, it's truly important to learn what battles to fight.
Yeah, timing is important.
And then for me, it's just staying centered. It's staying connected with God and making sure that I'm walking in His footsteps. I'm doing His will, because if I start going on my own, I can realize, you know, self is deceiving. It really is, and I'm going to end up in paths I should not be. And so making sure that I'm just connected to the people, but most importantly to God. And we're just going to keep fighting, because I'm a firm believer that God is all powerful. If I'm standing for righteousness, if I'm standing for what His will is, I don't care who will challenge me. I got God on my side, bruh. Come all you want. So anyway.
I like that mindset, bro. So what do you think is some of the most I guess challenging things in your own district, and like how do you plan on, I guess, preventing or combating those?
Well, so Kapolei is a growing community. You know,
Second City.
Yeah, Second City. So 30, 40 years ago, it was all cane fields out there. It was all ag land, right?
Literally tumbleweeds.
Dry, desert. Now it's a Second City, like you said. So in the late 80s, they're planning the Kapolei growth, Campbell Estate with the state of Hawaii. And that was during John Wahe'e's time. But yeah, I mean, look at it now. It's a growing community. My district is more East Kapolei, the residential area.
Oh, it's already two different districts, Kapolei.
There's two house districts.
Oh,
yeah,
big already.
There used to be one district, so now it's two because of the population boom. It's
super
all west
huge.
of Oahu.
They're building what, another high school too,
Yep, one East Kapolei High School we're planning right now, and the new elementary school, new clinics, and all kinds of stuff out there. And so anyway, the biggest issue right now is infrastructure. It's making sure that resources get to my community, because we're a growing community. One of the biggest complaints from residents is because of all these new housings popping up, our resources are at capacity. Our schools are at capacity. Our hospitals are at capacity. Our local resources are being maxed out. So we have to make sure that the infrastructure is there to complement the size of our population. Otherwise, we're going to be hurting the local families who have been in Kapolei for a few decades already. Also right now, one big issue is building Hawaiian homesteads in my community. Kapolei has a bunch of Hawaiian homesteads. Kamakana, Li'i, all the homes nearby. Those were built during Governor Lingo's time, right? So it was Governor Lingo, a Republican, who built those Hawaiian homesteads. Right now, we're building a bunch in East Kapolei, by the Kroc Center area. So there's phase 2 being built right now of Ka'ulu Okaha'i homestead. we're going to be building a lot more. So my focus right now is making sure that resources get to my community, that their needs are addressed, and then looking out for their best interests. And so my job is basically to vote yes or no on legislation that will impact my community. If it's a tax increase, that's a no vote. If it's going to raise our cost of living, that's a no vote. And we have to have the courage and guts to stand up and vote no.
Yeah, for real. I like that. Freaking, I went to Kapolei. My sister lived out there for a bit though, so like every time I like get in trouble on this side, she like yank me out of school, pull me to Kapolei. One thing I tripped out is like the track system, bro. There's just so much kids at the school that like not even all the kids can go to school on time. Right. So like a portion of the school always got to be on break. I was like, what the heck is that? I know, right? Or even when I went Kapolei High, they got out of school every day at 1 o'clock. Wednesdays was 3. I was like, bruh.
It's
what?
It's interesting. Yeah, no, and Kapolei High School is at capacity. Campbell High School is at capacity. They've been for almost 15 years. So that's why it's so important that we get the East Kapolei High School built.
Because like kids from both sides can go to
both sides, and then Ho'opili is being built still too. So all those families, that's going to be a lot of kids.
Yeah, you don't really think about how much. Like when I was going elementary, I thought it was so nuts that there was more than one elementary in Kaneohe. But like you don't think about like every neighborhood is pretty much gonna need an elementary.
Lots of kids. Everybody's having kids.
Or even when I was a kid, I noticed like whenever they build an elementary, they usually build a fire station right next to it. Save the kids. Classic. So can you share a challenge you face in politics that left you with like an invaluable lesson?
Challenge in politics that left me with an invaluable lesson.
Like that you probably only would have like experienced in the realm of politics.
Yeah, well, you know, I think this past session, the amount of pushback, even last session, because of my social media videos, and because I would just call people out and by name too, that was taboo for those guys. Like, oh, how disrespectful of you, how horrible of you to do that.
How dare you be transparent?
There were some politicians who was threatening to like file like charges against me for bullying and for stuff like that. And so
on what merit though?
Once again, they think that having a disagreement equals bullying. Like, but this is the woke crowd who think that their belief structure is the only belief structure there is, and everybody must conform to their way of thinking.
Change my reality for your thinking.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're harassing. Like,
or we're bullies.
Get out of here. Like, this is a free country. There's something called free speech, and I believe free speech is absolute, which means what you say could possibly offend me, but guess what? You still have the right to say it.
You can think it, bro.
I can say whatever I want to say. You might not like it, but I have the right to speak. That's what free speech is. Unfortunately, we have professors, teachers, and politicians who don't understand free speech today, and they think it's harassment, it's bullying, and they're now trying to censor free speech. This past session, there was a resolution that's called right-wing beliefs hate speech. Hate speech.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii. It was SCR 13. It passed second reading in the House, and that basically called digital disinformation and right-wing values hate speech. So that's where we're headed right now. The
one that tripped me out was when they were trying to say like, yeah, if you testify against the bill so many times, you're considered a lobbyist. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a constituent.
But see, they're trying to prevent citizens
from
engaging in their government.
But it's like, you guys actually go lunch and stuff with lobbyists. Cut it out. Like, bro, Josh Green, he was so vocal against the vaccine when it first came out, bro. Like, don't worry, you guys can go get natural immunity, go outside, keep your vitamins up, stay healthy. I don't know what happened, but then after he started thinking unvaccinated people was the devil or something, bro.
Big Pharma, Dr. Fauci.
Literally.
Pure corruption.
And it's just so sad. Like, you think that national stuff is never gonna like get to Hawaii, you know, but seeing it happen firsthand was kind of crazy.
You know what kind of not pissed me off, but it kind of did. But what angered me a bit was seeing our governor Josh Green go to the UN right after Lahaina burnt to the ground and basically blamed the whole thing on climate change.
Bruh.
And said, you know, oh, because of the results of climate change, like we've seen in Hawaii from Lahaina, Hawaii will now be this place to experiment these climate change policies, these globalist policies. What irritated me was, here's a guy who's not even from Hawaii going to the world. This is the world's audience at the UN, saying that Hawaii is now going to be a petri dish for your experiments, your globalist climate experiments. Bro, get out of here.
And
no.
it's like, bro, us as people, we are not affecting the climate like
That's
you
right.
guys are.
Exactly.
The elite is the ones that need to check themselves, bro.
Exactly.
Like, go fucking give Bill Gates some regulations,
That's
or
right.
Zuckerberg, or
That's
Taylor
right.
Swift's jets. Like,
And
stop trying to come after me and my plastic straw.
Yeah. Oh, bro, the plastic straws. That's so irritating. I go out to eat, the straws work for 15 seconds.
Soggy straws.
You can take 2 sips and that's it. After that, you got to open the cap and drink, because the plastic straws don't. And I get, we have to be good stewards of our environment, of our aina. That's common sense.
Yeah.
But like, for example, last year Josh Green proposed, let's give $200 million for climate change. To do what? How will $200 million stop the climate from changing? I mean, we have real issues right now. Locals who are homeless.
A whole town that's burnt to the ground.
Right, exactly. But yet climate change is this big thing. To me, the whole agenda is a hoax that's being pushed by these radical globalists who want to control the world into their way of living, banning motor vehicles. We all must have electric vehicles. Right now, the state and city and county is trying to convert all the vehicles for transportation, for everything. DLNR, all EVs. All EVs. That is, it's ridiculous.
And it's like, they think that that's sustainable, but it's like,
that's sustainable.
It's being charged by burning fossil fuels.
That's right.
Like, what
charges the battery? What?
Like,
it takes more fossil fuels to create
the
those
battery.
EV
Exactly, bro.
No, the whole thing is it's upside down.
That's why, like, I feel like our grandparents days, they was telling them that the polar ice caps was gonna melt. You know what I mean?
And then also Hawaii News Now, I think it was last week, there was a post. They said this summer is registered to be the hottest summer in 2,000 years. How the hell do you know that? Who was around 2,000 years ago?
Who was recording the heat for the summer? Like
that is so crazy.
Yeah.
But it shows you the media is behind this globalist agenda. They're pushing this. They're scaring people to think, oh, it's climate change that's causing these problems.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's
so funny though. Like, I'm glad that came up, because so much people are like, we gotta pay the climate tax. It's like, what is our money gonna do for the climate?
Right.
They're just gonna spend it on damaging the climate.
Right.
Like, what?
That's gonna pay for Josh Green and his whole team to go to the Davos climate conference. That's what it'll pay for.
Yeah, it's nuts how like, I feel like a lot of times politicians from elsewhere come here and then like for what? Like, why are you guys even here? Like, what? Leave Hawaii alone, bro. Come on. Like, these are like real lives you guys are messing with.
True.
Nuts. So balancing your personal beliefs and those of your constituents is challenging for most politicians, I feel like, because once they get there, they totally throw that out the window. Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, so my personal beliefs versus what my district believes in, I can tell you right now, during the campaign, I put myself forward in 2022 and basically said, here's what I believe in, here's my stances, here's my platform, and they elected me. And so I'm gonna go into office with those things, those values which I've campaigned for.
Yeah, got you
and I'm
elected,
I'm gonna fight for that, and that means standing up against the machine. That's what I campaigned on, fighting the machine, and we won. And so, you know, I think now, yes, there are some personal beliefs which I have, which might not align with every resident who lives in my district, but I'm a firm believer that I'm not there to legislate my religion. I'm not there to legislate my beliefs. I believe every citizen has the right to their own opinions, their own beliefs, their own religion, their own way of life. It's up to me to protect their right to practice freely. It's the role of government is to protect that right for people to practice freely in this country.
Solid. So how does Hawaii's unique cultural perspectives, or I guess like, you know how it's a big melting pot of different cultures, like does that contribute to, I guess, how you govern?
Yeah, I think so. I think the different cultures have really shaped Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know, you have the Filipinos, the Japanese, the Chinese, and then in these most recent years, all kind cultures who are coming in. But what shaped me and what shaped my way of thinking was really the culture and values instilled from my grandparents, and they grew up in Hawaii during the plantation era, where you had the different cultures. You had the Filipino camp, the Japanese camp, the Portuguese camp, and they all had their own camps and villages, but they all worked together on the plantation, and that built Hawaii. You know, our different foods, our different
plate lunch,
pigeon. I mean, that's a conglomerate of all the different camps together. So I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, but what I don't like about where we're headed is the extinction of the Hawaiian culture. Because when, you know, over time, the amount of Hawaiians got smaller and smaller and smaller. And granted, I mean, they're intermarrying, and now pretty much there are no pure Hawaiians. There's probably a few pure Hawaiians left, but yeah, they do. But the vast majority of it, we're all mixed up. So Hawaiian culture is a mixed culture today. So yeah,
definitely modern Hawaiian culture is a mixed culture, bro. Because like you said, like I feel like everybody that has Hawaiian has another plantation mix. Chinese, Portuguese, Filipino, Korean, Japanese. So have you had any like big influences or personal mentors that guided you throughout this journey, or like left you with solid values or lessons?
When I lost my election in 2018, I ran for state senate. On the Waianae Coast.
Young boy running.
I was 21 years old. Years old. I ran for District 21 at 21 years old. That was back in 2018. We got 41% in that race. So we lost the election, but not to get above 40%.
You never get blown out.
Right. So to get above 40% as a Republican on the Waianae Coast with a very low voter turnout was a big deal. And so State Rep Gene Ward from Hawaii. So he's like the most haole Hawaiian I know. He's haole, but his heart is for the Hawaiian people. And even amongst the Hawaiians, he's been pretty much the only person on that House floor for decades who have been championing Hawaiian issues and holding these guys accountable to build Hawaiian homelands. And so he hired me on. I served with him for one session as a session staffer, and then I served as his chief of staff. So he was the House Minority Leader then, and so serving with him for 4 years, and then I ran for office in 2022 and won. But it was him. He was a mentor and still is a mentor. He has a breadth of experience in government. Pretty cool life from when he was young during the Vietnam War. So he was a translator during the war. Speaks Vietnamese, Malaysian, all kind of languages.
Like Southeast Asian kind. That's nice.
So he would translate and listen to the enemy and stuff like that. Pretty cool. And then he served in the Peace Corps. And then he came back and ran for office here in Hawaii, served in the legislature from like 1990 to like 2000. And then President Bush had appointed him as the head of USDA for the whole country. Not USDA, USAID for the whole country. And then he came back and then been serving again. So a breadth of experience. I love Gene Ward. He's been almost like a father figure. And so, he's been a great mentor in my life.
Shouts out Gene Ward.
Gene Ward. Yes, sir.
Looking ahead, what is your vision for Hawaii and how are you working towards that?
My vision for Hawaii is completely deconstructing and dismantling this Democrat machine that's controlled our state for 75 to 80 years. It's held our people in oppression. in a state of economic oppression where we have no other options but to lean on government. What I want to see is local people freed from government. Less taxes, keep your money, build your wealth, build your family, build your estate, have a dream, be comfortable. That's what local families need. And so people like me, people like Brendan, people like Augie and Andrea, we're going to keep fighting until more local people have that freedom here in Hawaii, and until our families who are forced to leave Hawaii, who are living in Vegas and Texas and wherever else in the mainland, can come home. Because lots of those families, they want to come home. But they just cannot because there's no, I mean, what they're making up there, they can afford a house. And toys. And vacations. Over here, you got to work 2-3 jobs just to pay the bills and you're broke.
And when you get time off, you ain't getting paid.
That's it. True.
So funny. So, bro, I really respect Augie them for being so vocal against the raises that there was. Bro,
that was a huge raise.
Man, he's like, how you guys can give us raises when everybody here is struggling? I was like,
and that's what we need in office. We need more, like Augie. He wasn't like a career politician.
He was he was a comedian. I remember, like,
Hawaii's best comedian.
Literally.
Like when we were little, had the Augie T DVDs in the stores and stuff. That was. But he basically lived his whole life, lived his career, and looked around Hawaii, and he too saw the change that's happening, and the change for the worse, not the better. And so he stepped up and ran for office, and I'm so glad the voters in Ewa, Waipahu,
got behind him.
They got him in, and he's done an amazing job these last 4 years.
Super. And it's so cool to see, like you said, he wasn't even a career politician, just another local guy that stepped up.
That's right.
So, like, growing up in Hawaii, people are generally fed like Democrats are the good guys and Republicans are the bad guys. Why do you think that is, and what would you tell people to break that misconception?
Good question. The Democratic Party has always been the party of oppression and lies. It might be a bold statement to make, but it's the truth. Because I'm gonna give you the background here. The Democratic Party, first of all, the Republican Party currently has a stigma. Oh, they're the bad guys. They're for big business, for the corporations, for the haoles, for the rich guys. Why was the Republican Party founded? It was founded in the 1860s, and the first president to run Republican and win was Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. He won the election, and that led to the Civil War. The South said, that ain't happening. We're going to keep our slaves. and the North said, no, you're not. And that led to a Civil War. The North won. Slavery ended. It was the Republican Party that was founded on this foundation of abolition, of freeing the slaves, saying that it's immoral to own a human being, right? And so they lost the war. The Southern Democrats lost the war. And moving forward, they still had racism. They still had segregation of black schools, white schools. Blacks can eat here, blacks cannot eat here. Water fountains, buses, all of that. Who was the party who was keeping those Jim Crow laws in effect? It was the Southern Democrats. And it was all the way up till the 60s and 70s when the South was all Democrat. It was all Democrat. In 1964, there was the famous Civil Rights Act, right? That passed, that kind of gave people the right to live freely, no more segregation. You realize that every Republican in Congress voted for it. Almost every Democrat voted against it. So even in the 1960s, the Democratic Party was voting against equality.
And that's like our grandparents' generation.
Exactly.
Our parents are usually born in the 60s.
Right, 60s, 70s. So here in Hawaii though, yes, I truly believe the Democrat Party of slavery from the 1860s is the same exact party today. Instead, they keep people in a state of economic slavery. Where like you're
the EBT and the welfare.
Where that's all you do, right? Is you have more kids to get more EBT each month and this and that, tax returns, but you're slave to the system. And that's what they do, is they keep people in a state of dependency to where the Lunas, make the most.
Yep.
The plantation owners make the most. Modern day, that translates to the politicians make the most.
Yeah.
The union leaders make the most.
Yeah.
That's the modern day.
Yeah,
leaders.
the union leaders and the
they all endorse Democrats.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah,
because
yeah.
they get all the contracts.
Yeah.
All the big jobs like the rail.
Yeah.
That was all pushed for by the unions because of jobs. And I get it. Locals need good paying jobs. I'm not against union workers or union members, but the leadership is the problem.
Yeah, it's like
they
that
have endorsed
lobbyism.
Democrats for so many years, and look at where locals are today.
Yeah.
So it's time to change. It's time to really bring major change to Hawaii.
Yeah, for real. So what would you say sets you apart from other politicians?
Well, I guess my experiences, my faith foundation, my way of thinking, and my fight. I think, and it's not just me; it's others like Brenton and Andrea and Augie as well. But it's people who are not afraid to stand up and vocally fight for your beliefs. That's what we need more of in office. Most of those politicians, like, just watch a regular floor session of the House. When there's debates, there's only a handful of people who actually speak up. A few Republicans, a few Democrats. The vast majority of those guys just sit there silent the entire session, silent. They don't even speak. And they vote yes on everything. That's the problem. That's the problem.
All those.
And so, I think what sets me aside is just,
you are never gonna be that.
I will never be silent. If there's something I see that I don't agree with, I will speak up. I mean, that's why the people elected me into this position, to fight for them, to voice their positions.
Exactly.
So I'll keep speaking.
Solid. So what would you like to do after politics is over?
That's in God's hands. I have no idea where this whole thing will lead. I have no idea what will happen in 10 years from now, where I'll be, what this world will look like. Because right now it's falling apart around the world. And so who knows what 10 years will look like. But I do know this. I intend to stay faithful, to stay grounded, to stay rooted. And as long as the people of Hawaii would have me serving, to be their voice, I will be their voice.
I mean, this question is I kind of feel like it could help a lot of younger Hawaiians coming of age, but like, how do you balance being so for your culture and like ku'e and Hawaiian with being like so like American at the same time, you know what I mean?
Good question. I think for Hawaiians, it's kind of tough because of what happened in 1893. So when the overthrow took place in 1893, lots of Hawaiians were ready to bear arms and fight to overthrow this fake provisional government and put the Queen back in charge.
Well, we would have got extinct, I feel like.
Exactly, and it was the Queen who said, lay down your arms, have patience, because she believed that the Americans would eventually do the right thing
by her,
and they would follow their own laws, their own so it wasn't America that was the problem. It was these greedy, selfish plantation business owners here in Hawaii who were Americans that were the problem. I think lots of Hawaiians want to blame the country. No, if those greedy men and America back then followed our own constitutional laws, the overthrow would have never taken place.
No, Grover Cleveland was like, he was straight about to like restore it back to her,
and then he was out.
And
then he was out.
And then who came? McKinley.
McKinley came in, and that was it. That was it.
And the statue down at McKinley has the fake treaty of annexation. That's the only treaty of annexation that exists. Fake treaty. So looking at that, my inspiration once again was Prince Kuhio. So Prince Kuhio obviously was royalty. He was heir to the throne eventually. And he got arrested.
For fighting back. During the Wilcox Rebellion. And then he was sentenced to hard labor in prison. And you know what? So Prince Kuhio left Hawaii after that. So he was freed because the Queen, she worked hard to free him.
Oh, she got him out.
So he was, but then he left. He said, screw Hawaii, it's never the same. He left. He went to Africa, to Europe.
Well, just Huaka'i.
And he had no plans to come home. No plans, because his kingdom was gone.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
lost.
yeah.
But eventually, I believe the Holy Spirit tugged on his heart and said, you have a duty to your Hawaiian people to go back there and help them. And so he came home. And what did Prince Kohil do? He could have fought against America and the system and said, I should be the rightful king of Hawaii.
Yeah.
But instead, he actually engaged in the American system.
Politics, yeah.
Politics. And what did he do? He joined the Republican Party. He ran for Congress, and he was elected as Hawaii's non-voting delegate to Congress as a Republican, and he worked in Congress. And mind you, this is like the 1915, the 1920s.
Yeah, like turn of the century.
This is still the point where they're still racist. I mean, and Prince Kohil was not African American, but he was a dark-skinned person. Almost looked black to those mainlanders, right? And back then, Hawaiians was like dark.
Yeah, no, they were pretty sure they were called like
big nose, dark, right?
Yeah.
And so there's even a story where Prince Kohil goes to the barbershop in the Congress building that cuts the hair for congressmen, and they said, we won't service you.
Yeah,
and he dragged that barber out by his collar and knocked him a few times in the street. And that was Prince Kohil. And then after that, they had no problems doing his hair.
Yeah, I heard he was like a banga too.
He was on banga. He was a fighter for his people. He was a Republican fighter for his people. Yes, sir.
Classic. So, do you know how many votes it took to decide who won governor this last election?
It was a pretty big margin. I think Duke Iona got, I think he was in the 30%, 34, 35, 36%-ish around there. It wasn't that close. It should have been closer. But once again, lots of local people are not voting. Yeah. And that's the problem.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some ugly things about politics that doesn't really get brought up enough?
Well, just the whole system, the backroom dealings, the way it works in that building. It's all about relationships. It's who has the power. It's still the old boy network system, right? And so what we need, and I think what the public needs, is more transparency. And so shining the light on committee hearings, showing the public what's going on. You know, this last session, I would like clip my speeches or my comments in committee and then post it for the public to see. Yeah. The politicians were pissed off at that. And I'm thinking, why are you guys getting mad? This is a public building. This is a public hearing.
It's for the public.
The people we own this. Yeah. Like, this building is for the people. Yeah. That's what democracy and this republic is. But they were pissed off at me, at Brenton, at others for just blasting what they say in committee, saying we're harassing them. This is not harassment. You're a public official. What you say here is public record. The public has a right to know. So what we need is more transparency. Yeah. We need more cameras in that building. We need more microphones in that building, because the public needs to see what their elected officials are doing. For a long time, the politicians had their own office, and nobody would bother them at the Capitol. They could say whatever they want on the House floor because nobody's there watching them, listening to them. But now, thank God for social media. Yeah, for real. It's all public. It's all public, and we will continue to expose them.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we're living in a nuts age right now.
That's right.
So how much time you left?
I maybe like a few minutes left.
Okay, I got like 2 more questions.
Yeah, for sure.
So tourism plays a significant role in Hawaii's economy, but what are some other methods we can employ to stimulate economic growth that isn't tourism dependent?
Great question. I'm a firm believer that we should be focusing on the film industry right now. This is 2024. Lots of our kids are savvy when it comes to productions, when it comes to animations and all kinds of stuff. In my district, in UH West Oahu, they just opened up the Creative Media Center out there. Okay. And so there's new degrees and programs in the film industry, movies, on animations and all that stuff, sounds. Hawaii used to have quite a bit of films and movies made here, which is good for jobs. There's lots of good high-paying union jobs from the film industry. Hawaii 5-0 shut down, NCIS just recently said we're done.
Yeah.
Because the amount of profit they're making is not that big because Hawaii has a horrible tax system.
Oh.
So they're all going to like Georgia because there's good tax credits there.
Yeah.
Kentucky, good tax credits there. Even New Jersey, some.
But like Hawaii purposely overtaxes them.
No, because we don't want to give tax credits because we want to make money off of it.
Okay.
But it's like just let them make their movies, let them build business so that they can hire local people and create good paying jobs. Over time, we'll still make money off of it because of all the jobs being made, all the income tax being collected. But unfortunately, our Democrats in office don't want to, increase the cap for our film tax credits.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing we could do overnight that would draw business to Hawaii. The film industry will actually generate lots of revenue for our state. That's one. Also, farming, but not the old way of farming.
Not like plantations.
Not the plantations and not the big sugar cane and not the non-native farming. But I think if we could go back to like marketing Hawaii's like specially grown
like niche kind stuff,
like specially grown tomatoes or whatever it is, but like in Hawaii, and then selling those to our hotels and our local stores. There's so many things we can do. The film industry, the ag industry. Also, there is the film industry, the ag industry, the space industry as well. Now, I'm not saying build TMT, okay? But there's lots of things we can do, like from our UH programs, lots of education we can do here that can bring people in from all over the world. Also, the sports industry. Hawaii should be the sports center of the entire Pacific, where people from like Asia and from the South Pacific can come to Hawaii, challenge America and Korea and Japan,
or even other Polynesians.
And like let's make, because we're so central and everybody loves to come to Hawaii,
and we don't ever have a team.
Exactly. Like how about we make a huge stadium in the West Oahu somewhere, a huge one where we can hold national competitions,
a UFC event,
UFC events, NFL events, or even the Olympics one day. I mean, that would bring a lot of revenue to Hawaii, but we need the will to do it.
Yeah. What do you think about those $1 a year, 65-year leases that the military gets?
I don't support that.
I feel like, I don't know, the military, they get the biggest federal spending budget and they gotta pay Hawaii $1. That kind of is like a big FU to Hawaii. On top of putting jet fuel in our water, on top of like bombing our most sacred places and not cleaning it ever.
Exactly. There should be a basic level of common sense. Like if you damage it, you clean it. I mean, that's just common sense.
Literally.
And I'm not against the military because I do understand the importance of having the military here in Hawaii for defense. Like we are the gate to America, right? And so we have to have a strong defense, not just for our own country, but for what's going to possibly happen with China and Taiwan, Japan, Philippines. And so we have to have a strong Pacific fleet. But at the same time, they can't just abuse our local resources and then just not care about it and move on. Like, no.
Like, well, sorry guys, on to the next.
There needs to be payback. There needs to be cleaning up of like Makua Valley. It's still blocked off. Like, why can't we go in there and clean it up? Pohakuloa, Red Hill. Like, there's so much stuff that needs to be done. Now, but I do support the military, but there needs to be a sense of ho'oponopono with the local people here.
Solid. So one question I ask everybody, just because everybody's definition is different, but what does aloha mean to you?
I believe aloha is the purest form of love. And I believe God is love, and so God is aloha.
Aloha
keakua. Ha is the breath of life, right? So I believe that we're all created beings. We are all, the Bible says that God took the dust of the ground, the aina, He formed it and He breathed, He breathed into their nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul, the Bible says. So aloha is simply us transmitting to each other the life force within us from Akua, from God.
Wow, that was beautiful, bro. I really like that answer. Well, I mahalo you for your time.
Mahalos, bro.
That was a very informative and fun episode. I really learned a lot, and I feel like my audience will too, and hopefully break down some stigmas against politics in general
There
in
you go.
Hawaii.
There you go.
Because yeah, like we have a voice, we should be able to use it, and yeah, we should be making decisions
That's
for
right.
what happens here.
We the people.
Yeah, literally.
So the bottom line for us is make Hawaii great again.
That's classic. But yeah, right on everybody. And yeah,
All right.
mahalos.
Hey, mahalos.